And welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Aisling B, and in the news this week, in Manchester, there's evidence that a year of repeated hot washing inevitably takes its toll on face masks. With Prince Andrew in hiding and forced to order his meals from his local takeaway, word spreads that he's allergic to coriander. In Antarctica, Pingu gets more than he bargained for after boring his new friends with yet another showbiz anecdote about how he was really big in the 90s. And Pedigree Chum recalls tins of its new dog food after discovering that some of them contained minute traces of cocaine. On Ian's team tonight, a journalist who is also the new host of Mastermind. He's also a supporter of Manchester City, which is ironic because in the Champions League final, they were totally unable to pass.
Oh.
Sorry. Please welcome Clive Myrie! And with Paul tonight is a comedian and a writer who says she finds people who text her too much really irritating. I mean, I was only asking if you wanted to go for a drink after the show or something. Just a bit, I don't know, passive-aggressive to do it this way, but please welcome to the show a woman I thought was my best friend, Roisin Conaty! So yes, we begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Paul and Roisin, have a look at this.
That's Boris, and I don't know who she is.
Carrie.
Who?
Carrie,
Oh,
new wife.
they come and go, don't they? That's Westminster Cathedral, and there's somebody wearing a big hat. Yeah, so Boris got married secretly on Saturday, and everybody's very happy for them. Mm-hmm. Whoever they may be.
Yes, pretty sure that's it. It's the Prime Minister's marriage to Carrie Symonds.
Carrie, right.
Carrie Symonds. Remember her for as long as she lasts. Yes, they had the reception out in the grounds of number 10, although as someone pointed out, I can't believe they double booked the number 10 rose garden for the photos.
Boris is giving her the sort of look there as if he's desperately trying to memorise her face.
A lot of people say I look like Carrie, and then a lot of people say I look like Boris, it seems. Someone on Facebook, if you combine their faces together, it looks more like me than either of them.
I actually think, because I think we have the photo, so this is what someone on Twitter did.
I've had family members texting me that.
The ceremony was in Westminster Cathedral. How come twice divorced Boris was allowed to get married there, given the Catholic Church doesn't actually allow divorcees to remarry in a church?
It's a very, very good question. And raised a lot of consternation among Catholics and some clergy as well. Indeed, one father said there clearly is one canon law for the rich and one for the poor.
It's a technicality, and obviously the country were amazed that Boris should be failing to obey the rules in terms of his marriage as well as everything else. Apparently, this particular version of Catholicism means that if you've got married as a Catholic before, you're married. If you've got married in the C of E before, you're not married. So Boris came fresh to the altar. And she hasn't been married before. And so she could wear white, he could turn up, and people could say, doesn't the father of the bride look lovely?
You see the folks that had hay bales?
Hay bale?
It's like a festival wedding outside. And
That's right, she was barefoot, wasn't she?
yeah.
Downing Street was very clear to tell us that the Prime Minister had actually paid for the entire wedding. It's fantastic. Have you ever heard of that before? Someone paying for the entire... I mean, just unbelievable. What a guy.
Well, they'd save so much money, you know, not buying anything in their house, I suppose. They had a bit of cash.
Yes. And I think it's quite indicative that when someone else is paying, it's gold wallpaper, and when he's paying, it's hay bales.
Shoes for the bride? No, I don't think
No
so.
shoes.
So the wedding took place without members of the public gawping at them. Do you know how they managed to do it?
The cathedral was cleared of tourists just before 1:30. I mean, they got me out. I was just...
You were stood there with your confetti. But I've got my confetti.
He said no friend, so I thought I'll come.
But you know what they told the people and the staff who were in the church? So they ushered them out by telling them that the building was under lockdown. So, as if, yeah, I know. And then, according...
The first lockdown that Boris has been on time with.
Getting out of it. True. But yes, many staff and clergy were unaware of what was going on. That's an automated response there from the church. Have you ever heard one? Unaware something was going on. Where are your father? Interesting. So yes, Carrie hired her wedding dress for £45 actually. But what precaution did she take with it?
She bought a backup dress, full price, 20 grand. She doesn't know who bought it.
Oh!
I know this, amazingly.
Ah.
Clive, surely you know this. In order to fool all the journalists who'd be trying to work out desperately when they were getting married, she ordered 4 dresses from the shop. She tried to borrow 4 dresses. There was a casual one, there was a scary one, there was a...
Well, you're mixing up with the Spice Girls.
Anyway, she ordered 4, and one of them was white wedding, so that no one could think, I know what she's up to.
Ah, clever.
Yes, I suppose it was, except it wasn't 4, and this is a technicality, I'm going to have to pull you one in. It was actually 3 decoy dresses in order to stop the details of what she was going to be wearing.
But 4 in all.
Yes, because the real
God
one that she
damn it, that's true!
There's a lot of catching up and maths to do this year, I know.
I'm dressed like Harold Vorderman, but I haven't brought everything else with me, unfortunately. Who provided the music for the Hay Bale Festival wedding?
I think it was a folk band called the Fiddlers. It's
Yes.
pathetic how much I know.
True, Ian. Oh, well...
I mean, you would think the Roman Catholic Church would know better.
You were almost right. The band is actually called Fiddlin' About.
Worse.
Yes. What was the other good news for Boris Johnson recently?
Well, there was no one at the back shouting, it should have been me. I mean, Jennifer Curry didn't turn up in full flag outfit.
Oh, you're talking about him not breaking the ministerial code?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
He
yes.
was allowed to...
Yes, that's
Yes.
right. Lord Geit, the independent advisor on minister standards, he...
You say that so straight-faced.
I'm used to saying things straight-faced. He's been cleared in relation to the refurbishment of his lodgings in Downing Street. And the independent Lord Geit advisor, he basically said that he probably should have been a little bit more careful in understanding and knowing who was paying for the refurbishment of the flat before accepting that the flat was going to be refurbished.
Yes, exactly. He was cleared of breaking the ministerial code by Lord Geit, and his lordship described the Prime Minister, he actually said he was unwise to have pursued with work without finding out how it was funded. How unwise! Yes, and then Conservative Party donor Lord Brownlow, there he is.
That's just Boris with no hair. Why are they sharing a face?
Well, you can talk.
Ian! You're not supposed to say it as well, Ian. Yes, so Lord Brownlow had paid £58,000 of the total without telling Boris Johnson, who was unaware of what had happened. I mean, how do you not notice that someone's paid 58 grand of your decorating bill? Like, how does that happen?
I think Boris is, at best, one of those people who were a terrible friend.
Yes.
At some point, this man was going to have to say to him sort of like, I didn't get thanks. Like, it's not a big deal, but I did pay for your flat. Like, and he's going to be like, did you? He's just walked through life being like, someone will get it. It's absolutely mad.
Gold toilet seat, I'm sure someone pick it up, someone pick it up.
Like at a dinner, he'd order everything and then be like, my taxi's here. And then everyone's just like, OK. Like, and then you have to pay it all.
Cheap and rich.
Cheap and rich is a great sentence.
Lord Brownlow could just have been paying Boris's bills to curry favour with him, which is one idea. But why did Lord Guyte rule that out?
Because it was really badly decorated. Did you see the flat?
No, actually.
I think I would have called the police if I came in. And someone had surprise flat. I'd be like, what have I done? Who are my enemies?
Well, Lord Guyte said about Lord Brownlow, he said that Brownlow couldn't possibly gain any advantage from paying the bill as he'd already given the Conservative Party so much money, adding that Lord Brownlow acted with altruistic...
Well, it's perfectly reasonable you can't say it with a straight face. It's cobblers. Look at that.
That's how I react to stupid lies. I can't say them. Lord Brownlow acted for altruistic and philanthropic motives.
Lord Guyte had also looked into whether the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, should have really not had a firm that he had invested in, which his sister owned, which had a contract from the government. And he'd cleared Hancock, so you could hardly find the Prime Minister guilty. I mean, incredibly bad form.
This guy who was doing the investigation, Lord, whatever his name was, who ennobled him as a lord, which...
Lord Guyte, that's a very good question. He used to work at the palace.
Yes, he did, yeah. He's Queen's private secretary, I think.
Yeah, so who gave him his lordship?
Just wondered if it was the Conservative Party.
Yeah. I should think that's an appalling suggestion.
Can I make it an accusation then?
Yeah.
It was Theresa May who made him a lord.
Oh,
Theresa May.
there we are. I rest my case. No further questions.
So, who didn't break the ministerial code according to Lord Guyte? Matt Hancock, who did not declare his 20% shareholding in a company run by his sister, which won that NHS contract. Although this apparently is only a minor breach of ministerial code. And also, his sister's company is called Topwood, which kind of describes Matt Hancock from the neck up, really, doesn't it?
Well, Lord Guyte also said that Matt Hancock, while he had carried out a tiny breach of the ministerial code, he said that his honour should not be impugned and his reputation is still intact.
Yes, but what sort of reputation has he got?
Well, indeed.
How is Boris Johnson using Matt Hancock, according to the Sunday Times?
It was a heat-seeking, sacking individual. When eventually somebody has to go for the cock-ups during the initial stages of the pandemic, then he'd be the one to go, with his reputation intact. He arrived as an idiot, he left as an idiot.
Yes. So, next question. What has Rishi Sunak declared himself an enormous fan of this week?
Wednesdays.
The answer is the BBC.
Oh.
Good.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah?
funny I missed that.
Yes, he said in an interview with the Radio Times that his favourite shows were Bridgerton and Emily in Paris, both on Netflix.
Yeah.
But then he became a big fan of the BBC. And then what did he say his favourite shows were as a kid?
Was it the A-Team?
Three. One of them was the A-Team.
The other one was, well, this cabinet, the B-Team.
I'll give you some clues. Slow-mo, running.
Baywatch.
Baywatch, yes.
Baywatch.
Why is he talking about this stuff? He's got so much to be getting on with.
And then there's one more show he liked. They're all such... I mean, I kind of don't know if I respect him more from his show choices because they're things I like. But the third one... OK, imagine if there was only 3 guys here and Roisin. And I was like, well, Roisin, you've got a lovely... You've got Paul.
Blind date?
You've got... Yes, blind date. And that was my Liverpool accent. This is the news of the wedding of the week. Carrie married Boris Johnson in secret. As guests partied into the night, they sat around a fire pit in the number 10 garden. That's going to come in very handy in the days leading up to the inquiry. As is traditional, Carrie threw her bouquet over her shoulder to see who would marry next. And Boris dived right in and caught it. Music at the reception was provided by an acoustic trio, fiddling about. Boris has always been a big fan and likes the band too. Ian and Clive, take a look at this.
Boris Bucket School.
That's the vaccination programme, is that right? That Twickenham?
Yeah, and someone enjoying the sun. A bit too much sun there. And we're all counting down, yes. Essentially, you have got Boris Johnson coming out with the fact that he's willing to stump up an extra £1.4 billion in order to help children catch up with their education that they've lost during the pandemic. And the guy who's supposed to be in charge of all this, he actually resigned because he didn't think that was enough.
Can I just interrupt you there, Clive? I know you don't want to say this, but early on, people said the Prime Minister keeps on over-promising and under-delivering. Do you think the fact that he basically promised 10 billion for the catch-up and delivered 1 is another example of this?
I'm
just saying,
it's
I've no
a
idea.
legitimate question. I'm not entirely sure he did promise that, though. I think that's what his Tsar wanted. But he still didn't
You think
get
he
it.
just didn't know?
He just
No one
didn't
told
give it to him.
There was
Yeah.
a definite feeling in the weeks leading up to this announcement that everyone said, you know, this is going to be a huge
It's going to take a lot of money.
I'm sure you must have heard rumours, Clive.
Potentially, yes.
Clive has survived 30 years at the BBC. You're not going to get him like that.
Exactly. You know, I've survived so many bullets, rockets coming, and I'm getting incoming from here.
No, I'm just trying to get to the heart of this story.
You're
I'm enjoying this.
yeah.
Yes, so Kevin Collins is who you're talking about. He asked for £15 billion and also wanted to extend the school day over a period of 3 years to make up for lost time. But plans to inject up to £10 billion were actually being discussed as recently as last week. But Rishi Sunak rejected those plans. And then he told the press he enjoyed watching Bridgerton, probably to make everyone think he was human. A question for you all. How does £1.4 billion compare with other countries, what they were doing to help school recoveries?
It's pretty low.
It's not as much.
Yeah.
How much was track and trace again?
About 36 billion.
Just, you know, you just sort of think that maybe they're not good at... Just that seems like the maths are all off. And
I think your maybe is really nice there, Roisin. I'll tell you now, according to the Institute for Fiscal Studies, the US government is providing extra education to the tune of £1,600 per pupil. That's in the US. In the Netherlands, they're providing £2,500 per pupil. And then in the UK, what they're donating works out as £50 per pupil. So I think we all know what accents are going to be on a lot of the mastermind contestants, maybe. About 20 years' time. Boris Johnson is under pressure to stick to the roadmap and lift all remaining COVID restrictions on June the 21st. Those in favour include former Conservative leader, now Sir Paul, Ian Duncan Smith. So he's become a Sir.
Has he?
Yeah. Anyone hear what Sir Ian Duncan Smith had to say?
No, but I mean, he was so useless as a Tory leader. He didn't even risk putting him in charge of an election. He just sort of he was just so useless. He came and went.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Ian Duncan Smith, 3 of them. As I used to say on this programme many years ago, Ian and Duncan Smith.
So what did he have to say about lifting the COVID restrictions on June 21st?
We've got to do it. It would be ridiculous not to. There's a big faction that says you just got to go ahead anyway. But they've been saying that consistently for years, and it hasn't always gone well.
Yes. Well, he's worried that the government will backtrack. He said, they keep saying we're going to listen to the science, but they're not. They're listening to the scientists.
I'd love it if science could talk itself.
Yeah. It's clever enough. It should be able to.
But what is the fly in the ointment, as it were?
The Delta variant, as it's now called, by the World Health Organization, which is a sort of slightly more, it is more transmissible, but if you've had the vaccination, you should still be okay. But this thing is unpredictable, so they don't know where they're going to be in a couple of weeks' time. So it is sort of rather dangerous to set a date in absolute concrete and stone and say it's going to happen then when things could change.
I mean, when he announced the roadmap, he said this is about the data, not dates, and then announced 4 dates.
Yes.
And this is the last of the dates, so we don't know.
Boris keeps saying, I don't see anything in the data. Like that's his skill set. Like, it's wild.
Well, it's one of those ways the English language can sort of fool and bemuse you. I don't see anything in the data. Not there isn't anything in the data.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Do you think that's like a class at Eton? You know what I mean? Like dodge using English.
Not in my day. Yeah. Well, I was just a caretaker.
I'd love to see a sitcom where you're a caretaker.
Yeah, that's it.
Or what's
Eat
that?
and mess.
And Ian is the principal, and you two have like a real like cigarette and sweeping chats about the world, but you can't really hang out in the real world because you're from different classes. It's set in the 50s.
And for a laugh, we swap hats, and some new parents come around and they think I'm the principal, and they think he's the caretaker, and off we run, 10-part series.
I'm not against it at all.
No.
Yeah. I meet all the new mums. Hello, darling.
The actual fly in the ointment is that the fear of the third wave with the Delta variant, which seems to spread up to 80% faster than the Alpha variant. Spikes in cases have been recorded in Leek, Bedford and Bolton, amongst other places. And experts are keeping a close eye on these areas. But according to a Professor Roland Cow of the University of Edinburgh, Bolton will be the petri dish for the country. I'm sure the people of Bolton are delighted about that. They put their on their signs. Welcome to Bolton, the petri dish of the country. So, Clive, you are the new host of Mastermind, taking over this summer. Congratulations. But we actually thought that giving a nod to the format would just be a bit predictable and lazy. So, but we're going to do it anyway! Of course we don't have the budget. Hello, welcome to Have I Got News for You. Ian. What? Sorry, Ian. What is your specialist subject?
What, generally?
Yeah, just generally.
For this evening, it's the life and lies of the Prime Minister.
Well, that's good to know, but your question is based on the Greek alphabet.
Oh, good.
Which letter in now means either a very small amount or there's a new strain of virus in New York?
Micron?
No, it's actually iota. Roshi. Ooh, what's yours?
I'm ready. I've been waiting for this my whole life.
What's your specialist subject?
Pasta dishes.
Okay, but your question is about this man. His name is Jem Wakeman. My question for you is, why is he disappointed?
And why is death waiting for him up on the hillside?
Is it to do with he's worried that he can't get down the hill and hold his cheese safely?
Well, no. He's disappointed because for the second year running, the famous cheese rolling event in Gloucestershire has been cancelled. It involves thousands of locals racing down a steep slope to try and catch a wheel of double Gloucester. The man in the picture is Jem Wakeman, master of cheese. Ooh. So, Clive. Sorry.
I am now officially blind.
What was unusual about what Sean Leigh was wearing when he appeared on BBC News on Tuesday?
Was he in shorts?
Yes, so let's have a look. There he is.
It was very hot.
And then, Paul.
Yes.
What's your specialist subject, please?
Items that seemed like a good idea at the time but didn't make the final edit.
OK, well, actually, your question's about Mastermind.
Oh, good, yeah, good.
In 1987, married couple Paul and Christine Hancock competed in the same edition of the show. Both scored 34 correct answers and 2 passes. Mr. Hancock won the playoff by 1 question. What did Magnus Magnusson very appropriately call that edition of the show?
Mr. and Mrs.
No, he referred to it as Hancock's half hour.
There was a story that he was fond of telling Magnus Magnusson, that he got a very angry letter on one occasion from a viewer that said, I was appalled at the last edition of Mastermind when you asked the question, what was Jesus' first name? And you gave the answer, Reginald. And he replied, no, I said, what was Jeeves' first name in the booster report? It was Reginald. But I like the idea of a Reginald Jesus.
I love that. Well, great quizzing, everyone.
It's good that you remember that, because it won't be on television tomorrow night, so you'll...
This is the uncertainty over whether lockdown will be lifted on the 21st of June. Suspicions were raised that the virus was actually man-made when last year one of the Wuhan lab technicians bought shares in Zoom, Deliveroo and sourdough proving drawers. And so to round two.
Round two?
It's the jigsaw of news.
Hooray!
Yes, fingers on buzzers teams. Buzz when you know what it is.
Yes, in an attempt to revive his popularity, Keir Starmer is going to interview Piers Morgan. And his twin brothers appearing with him in the middle. Yes, Keir Starmer is going to be interviewed on Piers Morgan's life stories, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been asked to go on, Ian?
Do you know, I haven't.
Really?
No, I'm looking forward to the invite. But I mean, it's a very successful format. You have to go on and cry.
Yes.
And then everyone loves you.
Yes, they do.
Very, very simple.
So he'll be asking him about the latest by-elections then.
What did we learn?
He moisturises.
But he wouldn't say what. He said that's private.
You're in the right ballpark.
He was asked whether he took drugs. Piers Morgan was very keen to ask him whether he took drugs when he was at university. And he wouldn't answer that question. He just said he had a good time.
Yes. So he refused to answer whether or not he had taken drugs, a question he refused to answer 14 times. And he said instead, which we have a clip of here.
Am I right in assuming, from your response, that you have tried drugs, but that you didn't actually like them and didn't want to take them anymore?
Piers, we had a good time at university.
So that's a yes.
We had a good time at university.
That's a yes. It's a yes. You haven't said no.
I haven't said no.
No denial.
We had a good time.
We got there.
Well, surely at university, Ian, at university you must have been, you must have been enticed into taking some snuff at some point.
Actually,
Let's put it this way, Paul, we had a good time. And if you start on sherry, I'm going to leave.
But yes, the interview also touched on some personal aspects. What did we learn about Keir's hair in particular? He
Is
does
it
have
made
hair.
in a fair trade organic factory in Jarrow?
Plugins. Is it plugins? Has it got plugins?
No,
Oh, I
it's-
said it so many times. I'm sorry.
You were literally doing it, weren't you?
Roisin, are you trying to, once again, promote your plugins company on the BBC?
Plug your plugins.
The big takeaway from the hour-long interview was that he had marvellous hair when he was a student. Just look at these photos of him and his housemates. I mean...
That's the we.
Yeah, they're having a good time, aren't they?
They're having a good time.
Well, that's him in the front.
There's another photo of him on his own. Look at this one. Yeah! To the left, to the left. Everyone starts voting. To the left. Until you see their policies right now, and then you're like, oh, God, I don't know, it's just really tough. I wish there was someone else. But anyways. Yes, Piers Morgan asked Keir to sum up a Keir Starmer Britain in 3 words. So, what did he go for?
The United Kingdom.
Not Jeremy Corbyn.
Good morning, Britain.
Oh, that would have been so good if
should
he'd
have
said
said
that.
that.
That's
That
so
would have been
annoying he
cool.
didn't say that.
Goodbye, morning Britain.
Well, he heard 3 words, so these are the 3 words. Pride in our country, dignity for children growing up, dignity at work and change.
I think that's right, though. He shouldn't play
Yeah,
with the 3
yeah,
words.
you're
He should
right.
At least try and answer it with a policy of some... Do you disagree, Ian? You've got your face of disagreement on.
No, not at all. I thought exactly right.
Oh, and he's got his face of disagreement on. That's his natural resting pose.
No, I
He's been chucked out of more pubs for looking like that than any other person you can see here.
I can read the nuances now.
I was literally thinking that's exactly right. I've just got a bitch face.
So, yeah, what did Keir reveal that he wants to do later this year?
Get away for a bit.
Dream about Malta.
Dream about...
Dream about Malta.
There's a by-election coming up. He wants to win that.
Yeah, win a by-election. Oh, it's not 3 words anymore, is it? Sorry.
No.
Oh, Paul!
I got hooked on the 3 words thing. That's why I said dream about Malta. It didn't make any sense, but it was 3 words. I don't think we would have ever developed as a race if the 3 words were only allowed. I once heard, actually, I misheard a Radio 4 documentary when I heard somebody say the most important development in the human species was the development of luggage. And I thought, yeah, well, I suppose you would need a case to move around, and it was language. And I was trying to justify, well, if you were going to go to some place, you'd have to carry your clothes with you. Yeah, that would make sense, to go from one cave to another, development of luggage.
Yeah, that initial migration out of Africa, you need quite a lot of luggage.
Exactly.
No, he wants to go on tour.
3 words.
Yeah! He wants to go on tour to hear from voters that had rejected the party at recent elections. So he wants to go and hear from the people who didn't want to vote for him. I mean,
Bad vibes. That's a bad vibes tour.
Yeah. So finally, do you want to see what is perhaps the best scene ever to have aired on Coronation Street?
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
It was this week. Watch this.
That's it.
Incredible scene.
Did one woman fail the other woman on her MOT? The side in the distance. That was bad.
And is it easy to acquire these tasers like that?
Well, that's what I was kind of wondering.
Just go into the
Who are you
local
looking to
Aldi
hit?
and buy a
Who are you looking
taser?
to take out?
Steady.
Well, I mean, Ian did advertise some on the shopping channel. Do you remember?
I did, yeah. Other tasers are available, but I did. I had a fantastically good version. It was called the Leave It Out taser. Leave it out.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yes, this is Keir Starmer's interview with Piers Morgan. After the interview, several viewers tweeted that Keir seemed like someone they could go for a pint with. I mean, yeah, but like only if your train was late and like even then maybe just a half or something like that. Fingers on buzzers, teams, please.
It's Phil Collins from about 40 years ago, but why he's been in the news lately, I don't know.
Is there something to do with his back catalogue or him wanting to tour or something? I mean, he's now an icon of 80s rockers who are now getting out and about again.
So yes, well, this is the news that academics have identified the Phil Collins effect. Does anyone know what that is?
With that album, Face Value, he became enormously popular. He'd been a member of Genesis, but he became a solo act. He was very popular for a long time, and then he sort of became a bit of for some reason, a bit naff. So presumably, that's what the Phil Collins effect is.
But crucially, the Phil Collins effect is up at the end. Basically,
good.
It means that Phil Collins was cool, then he wasn't cool, and now he is cool again. According to researchers at City University London, it's a pattern of cultural death followed by cultural resurrection. Do you know anyone else who was following in this trajectory? So some other people who have had the Phil Collins effect?
Rasputin.
Oh, yeah, he's come back.
He was seen as very popular, went a bit downhill. Now everybody says, well, you know, for a mad monk, he wasn't too
Yeah,
bad.
and he was on a podium track, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't know. Who else?
So the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
Yes, they're one. And also George W. Bush. Who'd have thunk it? The reason the study came about in the first place is that the researchers were inspired by YouTuber brothers Tim and Fred Williams. I love these guys. And they have gone viral in the last year with their videos listening to old classic songs for the first time. Here's a reaction to hearing In the Air Tonight for the first time.
Yeah, okay. No. Sleeping on me, let's wake him up. You already said felt like y'all sleeping on me, let's wake him up.
Love it.
It's so great, and it's the length of the song as well. It really is like thick. Like wait, hold, hold.
Yeah, no, it's great.
This is the resurgence in popularity of Phil Collins. Phil Collins is already very popular in Ireland. In fact, the new DUP leader, Edwin Poots, will only listen to Genesis. Time now for the missing words round, which this week features as its guest publication, The Finial, the magazine of the antique silver spoon collectors. It's not cheap, but serious collectors are prepared to fork out. And we start with annual what festival ruined by what?
Annual spoon festival ruined by fork, by knife, by cutlery. Inappropriate cutlery.
It's actually not.
Not spoons.
Not spoons.
Not
no,
spoons.
spoons. I'll give you a clue. There's 2, 4, 6 of the subject matter of this festival here.
Testicles.
Yes.
Well, I happen to know there's 7.
Okie doke.
I'm not saying anything other than that, but one of us uses one as a spare.
I will be fact-checking this later. It's actually annual testicle eating festival. Ruined by fraudsters. Yeah, but I mean, that's the problem with testicle eating competitions. It's not the meat that fills you up, it's the 2 veg. Yes, this is the food festival in Wisconsin where testicles have been known to change hands for $100. Roisin, we've been charging too little. $100. Next, Michael has yet to venture into the collection of what, having had quite enough to contend to with collecting what.
Got to be spoons.
What are the spoons with the holes in? You got the difference, but you got the
Colanders.
No, you know you got the spoons. You got the spoon. You got the spoon with the line holes in, and then you got the spoon with the dot holes in. What are they called?
You're in the right
Egg spoons,
cutlery
red
drawer.
spoons.
Teaspoons, tablespoons.
Tablespoons! Yes, teaspoons and tablespoons.
No.
Michael has yet to venture into the collection of teaspoons, having had quite enough to contend to with collecting tablespoons. Next, motorists urged to count the number of what on their what?
Is this points on their licence? Is it flies on the windscreen? Some sort of survey.
Yes, you're right, yeah.
See how many we've killed.
Yes, the answer is motorists urged to count the number of insects on their number plate. Scientists are asking motorists to count how many bugs are squashed onto their license plates using something which is literally called a splatometer. So next, do you need a 12-centimetre spoon to what? Perhaps not.
This is take cocaine at university.
Is this inseminate a horse? Oh, no, you just need another horse for that.
The answer is, do you need a 12-centimetre spoon to eat an egg? Perhaps not. In the article from The Finial, one spoon expert writes that he has lengths ranging from 7 centimetres to 23 centimetres, which suggests that this type of spoon has more functions than we first thought. Yes, there's also cooking heroin. So next, man whose dog runs off regrets calling him what?
Man whose dog runs off regrets calling him go away. Get lost. Bugger off.
It's a Russian dog.
Which one?
Bugger off.
Yeah, man whose dog runs off regrets calling him a whore. You're a whore. Well, you are.
Well, the answer is man whose dog runs off regrets calling him River. Yes, a man in the Lake District was left red-faced after he lost his dog, River, near a river. Next, new world record set for fastest what in Yorkshire?
Act of generosity.
The answer is new world record set for fastest wheelie bin in Yorkshire. Here is record holder Andy Jennings speeding along at 45 miles per hour. Is it a wheelie bin?
I'd say that was quite dangerous.
Yeah.
I hope that was a Tuesday, because it's a green bin.
Next, People can pay £50 to grab as many what as they can.
Neo-fascists.
Government PPE contract.
Oh, that's good.
Just pay 50 quid, then you run round. It's like supermarket sweep.
The answer is actually plastic mannequins.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, there it is, guys. Props master Roz Edwards has amassed such a surplus of dummies that she is selling them off to members of the public who have 15 minutes to grab as many body parts as they can.
Oh.
Yeah. Next, police discover what in a flat after gang didn't know what to do with it?
Oh, I bet this is something that youngsters wouldn't know about. A book. The batteries are run out on this.
Is it a B-day?
It's not even a B-day, Ian.
B-Day 2 days before D-Day, didn't you know that?
The answer is
Yeah.
police discovered £5 million in a flat after the gang didn't know what to do with it.
Well, they didn't know how money worked.
Yeah, it's like...
What's this paper doing?
Finally, our last one. What and what are both desirable features of early spoons for which we should be grateful?
Ah, slight hollow and handle are both desirable features of early spoons for which you should be grateful.
Width and girth.
How dare you, sir?
Excuse me, Clive.
Is it Ant and Dec?
No, the answer is actually ridged stems and rat tails are both desirable features of early spoons for which we should feel grateful.
But why should we feel grateful?
Yeah, I don't feel remotely grateful. But as far as I'm concerned, they can take the early spoon and shove it up. What's the next question?
That's a little tip on how to do mastermind.
Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure.
I wonder, should I get my...
I'm just thinking, if you use that light, they might have to use that bit from earlier. They won't thank you for that.
I really enjoy it. So the final scores are in, and Ian and Clive have 4 points, but Paul and Roisin have 5 points.
No.
Yes!
Sorry, I'll be clapping myself.
And I leave you now with news that in central London, as a third wave threatens the nightclub industry, staff may be waiting in vain for the reopening of Stringfellows. In Pinewood, one career criminal is lucky to get away with just community service. And just outside Ullapool, an attempt to break the world record for longest-lasting Highland fling enters its 6th hour, and excitement is reaching fever pitch. Good night.